Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Hickey.
And I'm Ricky Lima.
And welcome to the Previews Reviews, filmed here live in front of a studio audience.
Yeah! Welcome!
At the lovely Stadium Comics in Brampton, Ontario, Canada.
Heart of the universe.
Heart of the universe, origin of all things, and, just an all-around kick-ass place, I think, right?
I think so too.
Yeah. Today we're going to look at comics coming out starting in April 2012. It's a month chock full of new release goodness.
Yeah. It's spring, it's blooming, the comics are blooming like flowers.
Yeah,
and
wow, that's deep, man.
People are throwing off their winter coats and finally getting out. And
I never thought of it like that.
Hey.
It's beautiful. But anyway, before we get started with taking a look at comics, we want to just introduce some of the members of our crowd today, some of the members of our audience. And why don't you guys come over on screen here? I don't know if you can fit in behind us or something, or...
Hey. Oh, I can see
Oh, look, it's...
Oh my god.
It's Nick and Buns from the Flavorful Reviews.
Is this what it's like to actually have a lot of views?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's,
Yeah.
Do people even know who we are?
I don't think anybody recognizes your voices with the, actually,
Okay, I'll
not
just-
too bad audio.
Cart in, out. There we go.
Ah, that's it. That's
There
it.
we go.
So, thank you guys for stopping by.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to shake your hands.
Oh, no.
Handshake with the
That's
peasant
fine.
blood.
That's why we say on these other cool.
But, you guys should be watching Flavorful Reviews. It's hilarious. It's, an uncensored look at some of the new release comics from the week. And guys are unconventional, to say the least.
Chock full of jokes. Chock full of jokes.
The first thing I want to talk about before we go into the April 2012 comics is the news from DC Comics this week that they're going to be releasing some Watchmen prequels.
Yeah, I don't know about this. Watchmen Prequels, there's a lot of fans who are like, ooh, I don't know, this ruins what it was a complete story.
It caused a huge stir on the internet this week. And, it seems to be the internet cause du jour, if I can use some French. It's the cause that everyone seems to have taken up on Twitter and on their on their Tumblr.
And the funny thing
Tumblogs.
Funny thing is, the Simpsons kind of they predicted this back I don't even know how long ago. Alan Moore was guest starring on The Simpsons, and the Millhouse showed up. He's like, "Oh, I love your book." He's like, "Oh, you read The Watchmen?" He's like, "Yeah," and it was the Watchmen Babies, and it was like a remake of that. And he's like, "Oh no."
I'm just saying right now, if they make Watchmen Babies and it's anything like Muppet Babies was, I'm all in, and I'm signing up for that book. I will buy an entire run. Do you think that all the criticism is warranted? What's your thoughts on it?
No, I don't think so, because you have an all-star cast who's working on this, and it's not just going to be some random cash grab. And comics is based on collaboration and expanding on a universe.
Right.
And The Watchmen didn't have that until now, so I think it might be pretty good.
Are there any sacred cows in comics? I don't think so.
No. I guess Watchmen used to be.
Well, now that it's not, I guess anything is up for grabs. But I think Alan Moore's being a little hypocritical in his criticism of this, being that a lot of his stories involve characters that he's taken from, previous works of literature, such as the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and, Lost Girls.
Yeah.
Have you ever read Lost Girls, by the way?
No, but I heard it's really sexy.
That's one word for it, I guess. There was a great comment on Twitter by, the guy's name was Bizarro Stan Lee, and I posted it on our Facebook page, but his thing was something about, yes, Alan Moore doesn't want The Watchmen to be remade, but I'm sure the creators of Snow White didn't want her eating out Cinderella or something like that. That's a reference to Lost Girls.
That's true.
And I'm sure if you guys haven't read it by now, you're certainly making plans to after that little
I guess it's that old literary thing where you're like, ooh, yeah, I'm going to take these characters and make them better, make them more relevant, and show a different side of them. And then you can't really turn around and say, well, you can't do that to the Watchmen characters.
Well, maybe is there a time limit? Does Watchmen have to exist for 100 years before we start
I don't think so. I mean,
you know,
as
making
long as
modifications to those characters.
DC owns them, so it's like whatever. You know.
And there's a lot of talk about how his characters in Watchmen were based on old Charlton Comics characters,
Yes.
anyway. So like, where do you draw the line? I don't know.
And I mean, this is comics. Everyone does, stories
Yeah.
of Superman, Batman. Like, who cares?
All I know is I'm a retailer and I'm going to cash in huge on this book.
Yeah.
So you all better buy it. No, but all jokes aside, I think that they've got some awesome creative teams assembled for it, and I'm looking forward to their take on it. I'm keeping an open mind. If it's crap, it's crap, and we'll call it that way.
Yeah.
But if it's good stuff and it looks like it might be, then I'm gonna support it 100%.
Agreed.
All right.
But let's get into these April books.
Yes.
We'll start with Mass Effect Homeworld's #1.
All right. I'm gonna let you have this one because I know you love the Mass Effect.
Mass Effect lead writer Mark Walters kicks off a new series of single-issue stories featuring heroes and adventures essential to the story of BioWare's latest blockbuster. Each issue will star one of the main characters of Mass Effect 3 in a story written by the BioWare writer who wrote the character in the game, beginning with Mac Walter, penned tale of brash young gun James Vega. First of all, copywriters need to have more punctuations in their things. That was like no punctuations whatsoever.
Maybe I didn't copy it down right.
Doesn't matter.
So who's this James Vega guy? As
Well,
a guy who's never played
James Vega
these
is
fancy video games.
He's Freddie Prinze Jr. And
What?
yeah,
No. Really?
Well, it's not actually Freddie Prinze Jr., but he does the voice of him, and it's pretty much like essentially
Why didn't I know
his
this
likeness.
before? I would have been all over that.
I don't know. Well, he's a new character.
He was
to 3.
great in She's All That.
He's right. Well, he's a new character in this one, so you're not missing out anything.
Okay.
And he's one of those brash, young, upstart kind of space guys. I don't know. I could care less for him. He looks
Okay.
like a douche.
Hey, you're looking forward to the Mass Effect 3 game, right?
Ooh, yes.
When's that coming out?
Spring sometime.
Spring,
I think
yeah.
around the same time this comes out, March, April. March 6th.
March 6th, the Peanut Gallery says. As far as video games go, is this like
Oh yeah, this
the
is
title of the year?
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if it wins like at least like a couple of Game of the Year awards already.
It's not as big as Skyrim though, right? That seems to be the game everybody.
I don't know. It might be bigger than Skyrim when
Really?
it comes in. Yeah, I don't know.
Where is the Skyrim comic, by the way? Every video game now has a tie-in.
I know.
Where is the Skyrim tie-in? I swear to God, if we had a Skyrim comic book in here, we'd be millionaires right now.
Well,
Everybody would be buying it up.
That's true. The thing about Skyrim though is everyone tells their own kind of stories through it, more or less. Like I mean, there are some of the same stories, but everyone has their
Yeah.
own experience. So to write a comic about it, you're kind of like narrowing it all down into one specific thing.
That's
So I
true.
guess maybe that's why they haven't done comics. But I mean, they have comics about Magic the Gathering and everything, so it's like,
Which you didn't like.
yeah, I know.
Next up, we have The Secret, Issue 1. A man gets shot in London, a law firm gets broken into in Washington, an accountant gives away the password to his computer, and something put to sleep 20 years ago awakens. What is the unsavory relationship all these things share, and how could it bring down two of the largest governments in the history of the world? It's Secret, a brand new ongoing monthly comic from the creators of A Red Mass from Mars. Brought to you by the award-winning writer Jonathan Hickman and breakout talent Ryan Bodenheim, Secret is an espionage thriller that takes a deep look into the shadow world existing between the government and private security firms. I think this is like the 1,000th title that
Yeah.
Jonathan Hickman's working on. All of his work for Marvel, plus the new creator-owned stuff that he has coming out for Image.
Yeah.
I think he's got his hands full.
I want to read all of them at the same time and see if there's like he's just using the same things over and over.
Well,
Yeah.
I know he loves the conspiracy angle, and this
Yeah.
looks like it's going to be chock full of it again. And, I think he needs to start watching his back. Because what if, he's writing all these conspiracy-laden books, and one of them actually turns out to be true?
Yeah.
And
And
the
then
CIA is just going to, take him out.
Zombie Einstein comes. He's like, "You can't be doing this." Chokes him.
Yeah, I think he's got to, focus on some more lighthearted material in his creator-owned stuff, and
I think so.
stay away from the conspiracies. It's going to get him in trouble. I
Mm.
saw that movie, Conspiracy Theory. Yeah.
Watch out, Jonathan Hickman.
Sooner or later, it starts to, come true.
But I mean, I don't know, as long as Jonathan Hickman keeps the books relatively good, like I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he is a good writer, and he certainly knows what he's doing in this genre of book.
He hasn't sold out yet like that Kirkman.
Like that Kirkman guy? Ah, come on.
Up next, we have America's Got Power #1. Written by Jonathan Ross with art by Brian Hitch. Welcome to America's Got Power. It's the biggest TV show on Earth, where the chance to win fame, fortune, and get laid are dangled in front of a generation of superpowered teens. All they have to do is win. Who is the fastest, the strongest, or the greatest? Who survives? A young Tommy Watts' dreams of being the greatest hero of them all might just be shattered when the greatest show on the planet begins to reveal his dark heart.
Yeah.
This sounds awesome.
Does it really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. People are obsessed with American Idol. At least they were. I don't know about now. And I mean, it's
I'm all
cool.
about X Factor now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, American Idol's cool and all, but come on, X Factor, that's where it's at.
But I don't know. This seems like a cool concept where you have this reality show based on superheroes. Like, I mean, sure, it's kind of played out, but...
Yeah, like, my whole take on it all is it's been done before. We had a comic by Todd Knock called Wild Guard, which back, when reality television first came to the forefront, it was the first, I guess, comic that portrayed a reality-based, comic team or whatever. And also, Ecstatics, which is one of my favorite comic runs of all time, by Peter Milligan and Mike Allred, that had a very reality show-like angle to it as well. Yeah. It's written by Jonathan Ross, who's a famous British TV personality. He also collaborated on a comic called Turf for Image Comics last year, which was pretty well received. It's been said that this comic is going to have a different twist to it, that's going to differentiate it from all the other reality-based
Yeah, it sounds like
books.
they fight each other, which I guess would be a little
Could
bit
be
better.
like a battle royale situation, but
Yeah.
with superpowers. Yeah, they're going to have to do something real special with this. And it's only a 6-issue miniseries, so, we'll look to that first issue to give us that good twist that will keep us coming back for more.
I just hope this doesn't turn into the whole Europeans knocking the Americans, being like, oh, look at these fat, ugly people. Because it's written by a British guy about America's Got
As long
Power.
as he doesn't, make fun of the Canadians, I'm
Yeah.
not going to really care too much.
But we have American friends, Kevin.
We have British friends, too!
Oh, that's true.
Members of the Commonwealth, unite! Anyway, let's go on to the next book. We've got Fanboys vs. Zombies, #1. I think our audience should get involved more when we're, announcing the comic titles. Let's try that again. Next up, we have Fanboys vs. Zombies, #1. Woo! That's better. That's better. That sounds nice.
That's good.
One is a decrepit mob of gurgling, ravenous fiends, and the other is a zombie outbreak. See what they did there?
That's good.
When there is no more room in hell, the undead shall take over Comic-Con. A crew of feuding best friends find themselves trapped inside America's largest comic convention, transformed into a seething cauldron of zombies. Is a horde of starving brain-eaters any match against reflexes battle-hardened by video games, nerves tested by horror flicks, and courage crystallized by comic books? Find out as an unlikely band of nerds use their genre savvy to survive in Fanboys vs. Zombies. Written by indie sensation Sam Humphries from Our Love Is Real, with art by hot new talent Jerry Gaylord.
This sounds awesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this sounds really cool. It has a potential to be very funny, I think.
Yeah, I think there's definite, cool potential there. Lots of opportunities for, inside, comic nerd jokes.
As long as they're well done. Some things, Big Bang Theory, they're too heavy-handed with their nerd jokes. They're like, yeah, this is a nerd joke. And you're like, okay, I get it. But,
The whole show is a nerd joke.
But if this book keeps it nice and subtle and...
Bazinga shirts, still available at Stadium Comics, only $19.99. Sorry, just had to throw that in there. I like to be as much of a sellout as possible.
Yeah, wow. But if this book keeps the humor subtle, I think it could be really good.
Yeah, I agree. And Sam Humphries is red hot right now. He's just coming off of a book that was, released in limited numbers, that was talked about by a lot of people in the industry. It was called Our Love Is Real.
And what was it about?
Well, a funny thing you should ask. It had a lot to do with bestiality, and that was an opportunity for you to do a spit take.
I didn't want to get the story right.
It dealt with bestiality and sex with plants and crystals, I think too, in a future where the AIDS virus has been eliminated. Definitely had some WTF moments in it, but it was very well received by critics, despite all of that.
Interesting.
So, I think he's got some writing chops, definitely, and we'll have to just wait and see if there's any, maybe comic nerd zombie love scenes.
Maybe
in this book.
How do you go from like some crazy, super subversive, controversial thing, some so tame as Fanboys versus Zombies?
Well, maybe it won't be so tame. We'll have to wait and find out.
They have a giant orgy at the end.
Maybe. We can only hope.
Up next, we have Avengers versus X-Men #1. Yeah! All right! So, story by Brian Michael Bendis and art by John Romita Jr. It's no longer coming. It's here. Does the return of the Phoenix to Earth signal the rebirth of the mutant species? That's what the X-Men believe. Unfortunately, the Avengers are convinced that its coming will mean the end of all life on Earth. The stage is set for the ultimate Marvel showdown in this oversized first issue. Also, there's AVX versus #1, written by Jason Aaron, Catherine Immonen, drawn by Adam Kubert and Stuart Immonen, the premier tie-in to Avengers vs. X-Men. All-out action featuring cover-to-cover battles, each issue expanding on fights from the main AVX book in ways you can't imagine. This issue, Iron Man vs. Magneto and The Thing vs. Namor.
All right. This is definitely the big title in the month of April. Are you looking forward to this at all?
Honestly, I am, because I did like Second Coming, and I did like that whole thing. And then the Extinction stuff's kind of getting me interested, so in the hands of Brian Michael Bendis, can't go wrong, right?
Yeah, Marvel's definitely counting on this event. I mean, Fear itself didn't do as well as they'd hoped, I don't think. It kind of fell off the rails near the end. It really lost a lot of fan interest, I think, as the story went on. And the one thing I would caution about this book is it is going to be a 12-parter. The main story is going to be 12 parts. And, that might be a little ambitious. I think stories work best when they're like 6 or 7 issues of main story. But we'll have to wait and see. The book will come out twice a month, so it really is only spanning 6 months. So it might work out to their favor.
But what interests me a lot is this AVX versus. It's kind of just like all-out battles going on.
Yeah. So what it is they're they're fights that start in the main book, and they're like for the rest of this fight, go and see this AVX versus issue.
That's
which,
cool.
On the one hand, it's cool because it's going to show all of the, I guess, extra scenes, or maybe the deleted scenes of the main comic. But it's also like just telling the reader, hey, you got to buy this extra book to get the full story. Now a 12-issue event becomes an 18-issue event.
Yeah, but I think this book will live or die based on the art. If the art isn't good, then it just won't be interesting at all. Because, I mean, the writers, I'd imagine there wouldn't be too much writing in this, because it's just going to be all fighting, which I hope
you mean an AVX?
Yeah, an AVX.
Yeah. Are there any big Marvel battles that you'd like to see?
Maybe Howard the Duck versus Hydro Man.
Howard the Duck versus Hydro Man. That's brilliant. Right. Get on that, Marvel. AVX versus Howard the Duck, Hydro Man.
Or Sandman and Hydro Man. They can be like Mud Man. But
be a disaster for everybody. All right, moving on to the last comic for today. We have the Secret Service #1. From the writer of Kick-Ass and the artist of The Watchmen comes a collaboration decades in the making. Says Millar, Secret Service is the ramifications of how America is struggling on the world stage. Funding is being seriously undercut to balance the books, and some people are trying their best to take advantage of the fragile global situation. The hero and sidekick guys who lead the book are, I think, the best characters I've ever written. Wow. Those are heavy words from Mr. Millar.
Yeah, but the story sounds kind of boring. It's just
It
him like,
does.
U.S. is failing. And it's like,
Yeah, it's like it's all been done before.
yeah.
You know.
And it's like, I mean, Mark Miller, or Millar,
It's Millar.
he enjoys, like, these big, grandiose stories with, like, tons of violence, and I just don't see that happening in this one.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this book here is it's actually co-created by Matthew Vaughn, the director, who, who of course, helmed Kick-Ass, which was a Mark Millar story, and he also has the rights to, I think, Superior or Nemesis or any other number of Mark Millar titles in the last 5 years. I think Matthew Vaughn has the film rights for them. What crazy situations do you think he's going to draw up for these characters in this book? Because he's always looking to outdo himself. Famously in Nemesis, he conceived that whole situation where the kid was pregnant by her brother, and there was they were like, "Oh, we'll just get an abortion," and Nemesis was like, "No, you can't get an abortion. I've rigged her womb to explode if you try anything, and she'll never be able to have kids again."
What?
It was like,
What?
yeah, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Oh my
So,
God.
what's he gonna do to top that?
Well,
And is this the book that he's gonna do it in?
I don't even. Maybe he's gonna take a page from Our Love Is Real. Have like people making love to stuff.
Other than the stuff that they're supposed to.
Maybe
make
like
love to?
money, because it's all about money.
Maybe. I mean, he's got this tendency to come up with these ridiculous characters.
I have no idea.
Like Hit Girl. Come on, like Hit Girl's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and
pretty awesome character.
And she's like doing cocaine in the elevator.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
I don't know what's going on. Just everything has to like hit that next level of
Yeah.
extremeness.
But I have no idea what he's going to do with this one. Like I said, the story doesn't lead itself to anything crazy, but...
Maybe everybody in this comic will have womb bombs. Womb bombs for everybody.
Yeah. But didn't Mark Millar come out with this story, like, back when he was in high school? I remember hearing a story, he, like, mailed a story to Dave Gibbons.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I'm not sure if it's this actual story,
Oh, yeah?
but he did in his early days of writing, I guess, send Dave Gibbons a story and
Yeah.
asked him to do the art on it.
You don't think it's this one?
I don't know. It could be.
Maybe.
We'll look into that.
If so, he might be a future teller
Could be a soothsayer.
of womb bombs.
An entire history, an entire future containing womb bombs. That's about it for the comics this week. Remember, all of these can be found in this month's issue of Previews magazine. There's the Marvel featured side, and there's the DC side featuring Wonder Woman with guns. I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, although they're gold guns.
They're
So, I
gold.
mean, maybe it's like the truth bullets.
Truth
It's
bullets.
shot with a knife.
I'm gonna shoot some truth bullets at you right now. Sounds like something Charlie Sheen would say.
Yeah.
So remember that you can flip through this catalog at your local shop. Let them know what you want out of this book. There's thousands of different products for fans of all different genres of pop culture. And, comics, toys, posters, books even, T-shirts.
Yeah.
And we're going to be discussing more of that kind of merchandise in future episodes. The next one we're going to do is graphic novels coming out in April 2012.
Yeah.
So join us next time for the look at graphic novels. Thank you guys all for watching. Thanks to our studio audience for being so kind. And we'll see you all next time on the Previews Read.